All right, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back. I don't even know, I feel like I gotta reintroduce myself since I took the longest hiatus on here. So this is basically a brand new channel. I scrubbed everything. My name is Queen Misanthrope, aka Liz with 2 Z's. But yeah, I decided I wanted to give God the glory. I wanted to thank him for everything that I've overcome. So I wanted to make this video just sharing with you guys about the journey that I went on in order to receive my apartment, because I feel like a lot of people think my life is just so easy just because I have nice things, and they think that my life is so easy as if everybody doesn't have the same access to the things that I have. Like, you can get shoes, you can get shirts, you can get clothes, you can get jewelry, you can get whatever, the same thing that I have. Everybody has the same access to it, but they act like it's so extra special just because I have it. And I kind of just wanted to make this video mainly to give God the glory, but also to show that my life is not as easy as people think it is, and that I go through a lot and I still have to overcome things. And I don't even know where to begin with this story. It's so crazy, and I feel like I'm gonna tell y'all a lot and I still am not gonna feel as though I have told y'all enough. But yeah, I just had to come on here, get this off my chest, and just thank God for just all the wonders that he's done in my life. And happy new year, because my new year is going spectacular. I'm gonna just share a few things. You know, I got me a new apartment. I'm also getting a promotion, so I'm about to have like some more money. My grill is about to come. Yeah, I got a grill, so it's about to come. I got a couple Louis bags coming. I got 3 of them coming. I bought one for my birthday. I bought one to celebrate me getting this apartment, and I bought one just because. I'm not gonna hold you, I was gonna buy all of them regardless, but yeah, I might buy a few more. Like, I'm not really like a designer person, but yeah, so those are some good things that are happening in my life. You guys can let me know some new good things that have happened to you this year. And yeah, I hope that we all turn up, because 2025 was the best year of my life. I know since I have my apartment, 2026 is gonna be spectacular. Ain't no stopping me. All new things. We're bigger, we're better, we're badder, nicer, softer, kinder. Like, I just know I'm going up this year, and I know y'all will too. So we'll start back in 1993. Yes, I'm a dinosaur. So basically, my mother is Trinidadian and Venezuelan, and my dad is Ghanaian. And so growing up, I grew up in a very tough environment, very strict. It wasn't a very loving or supportive or caring household. I did not get along with my family at all. They did not like me. My mother did not want to have a girl. So I endured all types of abuse. Any type of abuse you could think of, I endured it. My parents were on the ACS list till about 10 years, right? And I just went through a lot living in that household, and I was the only girl, and I had issues with my siblings as well. And so I just knew that I had to get my own spot and I had to figure it out, but I just wasn't sure how I was going to be able to pay for it. So I ended up having roommates, lots of different roommate situations. I'm gonna skip all of those because it's gonna be such a long story, but I might make a separate video about all my crazy roommate situations. I had mad crazy roommates, but the last situation I had was pretty much my final straw, because I already did not want to live I didn't want to live with roommates. My main goal was always to live by myself. If I could have moved out of my parents' crib straight into my own apartment by myself, I would have did that, but I just couldn't because everything was so expensive. I couldn't afford anything. And if you know me, you know I do not keep a job for a very long time. So
me, I don't if I have a clear job. I don't care if I don't job. God got me wherever he want me. Whatever God got for me, it's gonna be for me. Can't nobody do nothing to me.
That kind of also became very hard, you know. I was living in Harlem, so I had about 4 roommates. And then we had a landlord. So the landlord, she was one of the roommates. She was the only person on the lease, but she had ended up moving out. So she just rented out all the rooms. So it turns out that she wasn't really paying the rent. So we were all paying her our rent. Sometimes we pay like, I don't know, maybe a week or 2 late, but that still wasn't a reason for her to accrue such a heavy balance that she had accrued. I think she owed them about $15,000, and we were all paying the rent, meaning she was just pocketing it and not paying it. So we spoke to her about it. I remember this had happened twice. So the first time it happened, we ended up we all chipped in and we paid her so that she could get the balance down. So she ended up not paying the rent that first time because it was one other person who was on the lease. That person moved out, so her room was vacant. And so because that room was vacant and she didn't rent it out, because this happened during the panorama, she decided she just wasn't gonna pay that portion of the rent, which none of us knew anything about. We're thinking that she's handling that because you're on the lease. Why would you want to not pay your rent? Make that make sense. So we ended up we went from paying like $800 to $1,300 to help her bring that balance down. That was the first time. This second time, we're like, girl, what are you doing? So we pressed her about it, and she pretty much was just like, yeah, you know, I kind of don't want to continue the lease because I owe such a heavy balance, and in order for me to bring it down, I would have to charge you guys more than the rent that you're paying right now, and I don't think that that's fair. So mind you, I was paying the least amount of rent. Everybody else was paying more, which they didn't know. They know now, but she kind of had mercy on me because of a situation I had going on. So I was paying the least amount of rent. Everybody else was paying more. But yeah, and she was very difficult to live with. She had lots of issues. She had a lot of things going on. She wanted to live her life a certain way, and she wanted us all to abide by the way she was living, right? So I couldn't really have friends over. If we have friends over, she didn't want them to stay over for a very long time. Then she was always occupying the living room, and she was a pastor, and she would want to have her sermons and stuff.
Hallelujah. 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 Hallelujah.
Swear to God, it's too early in the morning for this shit, even though it's like 9 p.m. I woke up like, what the fuck is going on? And then I remember when she had moved out, she still used to try to come in and sit at the living room table and have these long ass conference calls. And it's like, girl, you don't live here anymore, so why are you still occupying this space? Granted, I get it that, you know, it's technically your apartment because you're on the lease and you pay the rent and stuff, but it's like, you're not living here anymore. So I would really respect it if you stop coming here and like occupying our space. Like, what are you doing? And it was just a lot of little things going on. And every year when it was time to renew, she'd always end up having this big problem and, oh, I don't know if I should renew, da da da. And then one time she was making it seem as though it was on us and we were bullying her, and so she didn't feel safe living in the apartment, and that's why she upped and moved. It was a whole heap of nonsense that was going on in that apartment. So yeah, I ended up having to leave, and I told myself, I'm like, yo, I'm not doing this roommate situation again. I told myself I'd rather live in a shelter and then just get my own spot as opposed to going from roommate situation to roommate situation to roommate situation, because I do not like living with other people. I want to just live in this apartment by myself. I don't like having roommates. It's this thing where it's like, first of all, people clean differently, right? So a lot of people are not clean, so I end up having to go and clean up behind other people. That's number one. Then number two is just, I like to put myself a certain way, right? So it's like, you see this book, I'll put the book here. 2 hours later, I see the book is over there. That's not where I left the book. Clearly, I wanted the book here. You know what I'm saying? And I'm very meticulous, very anal. So it's just little stuff like that annoys me. And then this is not a main thing, but it's like, I'm a vegan. So it's just like, this is like a little blessing that I have. Like a major, like kind of little blessing is that I can go in my fridge and there's no meat, there's no dairy, there's no eggs, there's no none of that. There's nothing that I consider to be nasty in the fridge. There's no mayonnaise. And then I remember I used to be in my fridge, the other fridge in Harlem, and literally like somebody would spill like meat and it would like, the blood and stuff would drip on my mushrooms and stuff, and that would be so annoying because I'm like, bro, granted my mushrooms is wrapped in plastic, but that would piss me off. But yeah, so she ended the lease. And another thing that was crazy about her ending the lease was that this was a 5-bedroom, 2.5 bath in Harlem, prime real estate. It was only going for $3,000. If you know anything about New York, you know, like, that is a steal. There's studios right now that's going for $3,000. Her apartment was rent stabilized. The rent would only increase by $200 every year when it was time to renew. So I'm like, you're letting that go, and you could have easily just kicked us out and had other people moving in, or had your family move in, and y'all could have kept that apartment. So I'm just like, yeah, that's type crazy for you to let it go. But I just decided that I'd rather just, if I'm gonna have to live with people, I'd rather have roommates in a shelter and not pay my rent and not have to pay any rent, as opposed to have roommates and then I have to pay rent and I'm living with people I don't like. I'd rather live with people I don't like for free. You know what I'm saying? And I never even had any issues with my roommates. My roommates were all cool. I'm actually really close friends with one of them now. We talk, we hang out all the time, but like, I couldn't do the roommate thing. And I told myself, yo, you're gonna buckle down. You're gonna live in this shelter. It's gonna encourage you to save up your money, stack your money, not spend it on stupid stuff. Because the longer it takes you to save this money to get this apartment and move out, the longer you're gonna be in an uncomfortable situation living in a shelter. So I was like, yo, that's gonna be my motivation, my driving force. Because instead of paying money on rent, I'm gonna use the money that I save. I could use it for my first month, my second month, my first month, my last month, my security deposit. Then I can use it to pay my broker's fee, and I have like a nice hefty sum saved up because I don't have to pay any rent. So that's how I was looking at it. I'm like, yo, it's a win-win. I'm able to save so much money, and I'm just gonna have to buckle down and just deal with this. The more uncomfy I am, the quicker it's gonna take for me to get out the shelter. So all my friends were just like, yo, girl, we know you're not gonna last. You're not gonna do this. They all thought that I was gonna dip out after like a month or a few weeks. I knew I was gonna thug it out, but I didn't know if I was gonna thug it out, if you know what I mean. But since I'm a single woman, the shelter that I had to go to first was an intake shelter. So that's a temporary shelter. So the women's shelter is called Franklin Shelter. So that's located in the Bronx. So I ended up having to go there. I really knew nothing about shelter life. So when I went there, I just had like my duffel bag because I used to go to the gym and stuff. So it had like my gym clothes, it had my work clothes because I was working 2 jobs at the time, and then just little night clothes and stuff, and then, you know, my toiletries. So I didn't know that I couldn't bring glass bottles in there. So they saw my perfume. Then I also had little candy. I just had Now and Laters. I wasn't allowed to bring that in there because you have to go through the metal detectors. And then my deodorant, it was an aerosol can, so you're not allowed to bring that in there either. So they told me, they're like, yeah, you can't bring this in here, so you could go stash it somewhere. So I was just like, okay, let me go stash it. So I went outside and I stashed it behind some little bush or whatever. The next day I went and got it. So also at that shelter, you had to climb up all of these steps. Oh my gosh, it was so crazy walking up all them steps to go to your room or whatever. So they assign you a room. So I went to my room. I couldn't believe it. And then I remember, yo, it was so shicey in there. Like, girls would take your sheets off the bed and stuff when you wasn't there, because I would work and stuff. I worked overnight, so I had an overnight pass where I could stay there during the day or whatever. And I would come back and I was always asking them for sheets. They're like, yo, you always asking us for sheets? And I'm like, yes, because they keep taking my sheets. And it's crazy because I was gonna bring my Hello Kitty sheets there and put it in the bed. Thank God I never did that, because I would have turned it up in there if someone took my sheets, my Hello Kitty sheets, off my bed, bro. That would have blew me. And then I remember when I was there, like the second night, I saw some girl, she had her lighter and she was like rolling up and she was lighting it and sparking it. And so I'm grilling her, staring at her dumb hard, because I'm like, yo, how are you able to bring this up? But I had my little Tommy Hilfiger bottle of perfume, and they made me throw that away, because the second time I had came and I had that, and it was only a little teensy weensy bit left, so I wasn't gonna go outside and stash it. I'm just like, you know, whatever, y'all could just throw it away, I don't really care. But it blew me. So I'm looking at this girl with her lighter. I'm like, yo, I should have asked her, how did you sneak that up in there? But yeah, so I had that situation. So that was Franklin Shelter. I had no issues there at all. But I remember people used to be fighting there. Like, it was kind of crazy. But, you know, I just work. I stay to myself. I mind my business. If you do that, you should be good wherever you go. I feel like people who end up getting into it with people is because they don't know how to mind their business and just, you know, do what they got to do. I minded my business. My first day was September 5th, 2024. That's when I was in Franklin Shelter. That was the first day I ended up there. And then they transferred me to my permanent shelter on October 1st, 2025. So the process with the shelter is you go to an intake shelter and then they place you in a permanent shelter. All right, so I'm gonna give y'all a little tour of my shelter unit. So we got 3 lights. That's for the bathroom. This is the big light for over there. And then this is the light for over here. And then we got 1 light switch here that controls everything. Got a dirty towels for the floor. When I take a bath, that's the bathtub. That's my stuff right there. That's my roommate's stuff up there. And then as you can see, we have terrible plumbing and irrigation. So because of that, the water keeps flooding on the floor. That's why I have those dirty towels. That's another towel. And then that's me. Ow, don't look at me. But yeah, this is pretty much it. And then over here, this is my dirty clothes. This is some more stuff for the bathroom, for the floor. This is all my stuff. Just got some new Asics today, hit in New York. This is some like kind of house clothes type shit. That belongs in a shoebox. This is my roommate's size. She literally has nothing. Only recording this part because she's not here. If she was here, I would not record that. Then yeah, this is my little section. You can see Hello Kitty crazy. Gotta take all of this to my storage unit though. And then yeah, that's pretty much it. Oh, I forgot about this. So this is my safe right here. So this is my stuff. Everything's about to fall out. All this stuff really needs to be in storage. And then all the essentials. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. And so my permanent shelter was Atlantic. So that's in Brooklyn. So I was really pleased with that because I'm from Brooklyn. So I wanted to be in Brooklyn anyway. So the shelter rules. Yeah, this is the next step. So at Atlantic, I remember when I was first there, I was able to bring whatever I wanted in there because they didn't have any metal detectors. So they would have a lot of men that were security guards and they would have to go through your bag. But most of them were West Indian, they were Haitian men. So they didn't really want to go into our bags. They felt uncomfortable doing that. So we would open it and show it to them, but they didn't really want to like touch our stuff. So there was a lot of stuff you're not supposed to bring in there that I had there because there's no metal detectors and these dudes aren't really, you know, really going through our stuff. So I'm gonna tell y'all some of the stuff that we can't bring in there. You cannot have a broom. You can't have an iron. You can't have a blow dryer. I have brought my blow dryer, but then I took it back. And then I even brought it back when they had the metal detectors. I was able to do that. You couldn't have any sanitizing wipes. So like no Lysol wipes. Then they wouldn't give you Wi-Fi, but I was cool with some of the staff. So one of the staff members, he ended up giving it to me. And I ended up finding out that they had Wi-Fi because I had asked one of them, the staff members, for Wi-Fi. They said no, but I overheard my roommate talking about how she got Wi-Fi. So I was like, oh, now I'm going to ask someone. So the cool ass staff member, he ended up giving it to me. And then they wanted you to only have 2 pairs of shoes. And it's like, be so serious. So I have over 100 pairs of shoes. But I obviously wasn't going to bring 100 pairs of shoes to a shelter. Like, it's not that deep. So I only had like 6, 7 pairs of shoes. And they would really act as though like that was too much stuff to have. And then you weren't allowed to walk around the sports bra. We're going to get back to that. And then, let's see, during the day, they had enacted this new rule where during the day you weren't allowed to stay there. So apparently that's a standard rule at every shelter, but that's not how they were operating at first. So when they actually ended up implementing that rule, I thought that shit was so weird. And I kept going through and kept complaining. Then at first we were able to have packages come to the shelter. Then they said you're no longer allowed to have packages come to the shelter. And that ended up being this whole big thing. So I had to have my packages sent to my friend's house. He ended up losing my package. That's a long ass story. He blew me with that. And then I ended up finding out that I could just have my packages sent to my storage unit. So I ended up doing that. They were really nice, really cool, really helpful. But I remember I had one package sent there to the shelter after they had enacted this new stupid rule. And basically one of the shelter staff that was there, she's the director. I really could not stand her. Her name is Tiffany Floyd. She's a bitch ass motherfucker. So she was basically telling them like, oh no, she's not allowed to have this, she's not allowed to have the package, we're gonna make an exception this time. But I had one more package that was coming in, but it was a tiny little package from Ulta. It was just 3 little lip glosses. And I emailed them and I was like, yo, I'm about to have this package. Is there any way I could just make an exception just this one more time and I'm not going to have anything else come? The package ended up coming. They ended up sending it back. That shit blew mine. Then I had another situation where, you know, like I used to have a business. So I would sell clothes. I had shipped this package to this client and she ended up not getting it because she didn't tell me that she had an apartment number. So they returned it to sender. When they returned it to the sender, they returned it to the shelter. So he rejected the package, even though I had told him. I'm like, yo, this is the situation that's going on. It's not something I bought. It's something that I sold and I made money off it. I'm like, is there any way you could just hold on to it? Because I have to go to work, so I can't get this package. He's like, nah, as per DHS regulations, you're not allowed to have any packages coming in here. And it's like, bro, you can't just hold on to it. Like, he was a bitch ass motherfucker. Like, I could not, oh, dang, I told myself I was gonna curse. Like, I could not stand this man. Oh my gosh, bro. And I told the other people that I was cool. I was like, yo, is there any way you can tell them just to hold on to it for me? They're like, yo, I got you. I even went behind him and I still told them. And then they had that conversation with me like, nah, we can't hold it. So what I should have done, I should have just taken a day off work, but I didn't. I ended up going to the post office, this whole big thing. I'm at the post office damn near every single day like, yo, did y'all find my package? They ended up losing the package. So eBay had to refund the buyer. Then they took the money out of my account. I complained to eBay like, yo, I've been here for 16 years. I'm going to delete my account if you don't give my money back. So they gave me and the buyer the money back. But it's like this whole big situation where you could have just held the package. It was one t-shirt. That was it. But yeah, so those were some of the dumb, stupid ass rules that they had. Like the no packages stuff really blew me. And if you know me, I'm a shopaholic. So yeah, that kind of blew me. They wanted you to only, you're only able to have mail, like letters, and you were only able to have medicine, which, bro, if I live here, why can I not have an Amazon package, especially if it's something essential that I need? Everything is not a sneaker and a t-shirt. I could be getting toothpaste delivered. I could be getting toiletries, like stuff like that. It was just so weird. But even with the, you know, addition of the metal detectors, I was still able to sneak stuff in. I would take glass in because they're not going to chase you. So like if I was having something that I wasn't supposed to take, I would just bum rush past them. Like I really didn't care. They didn't really do anything. Sometimes they would complain, but they never really came to my door to search my room or anything. But yeah, I was pretty much able to do whatever with them metal detectors. I didn't care. And some of the staff was cool, so they would let it rock. But yeah, I'm also going to get into the staff because the staff at the shelter was crazy. Outside of the shelter rules, I just feel like when you work at a shelter, you should be very hospitable, very empathetic, very caring, kind, and compassionate, because clearly these are people that are at their lowest. You don't know what led someone to being in a shelter. Everyone is not just a bum that decided that they don't want to work. You know what I'm saying? You don't know anyone's situation, and I feel like the staff that you have at a shelter could really make or break someone's experience. And they had a lot of nasty individuals working there, and it really blew me because I was working at a shelter while living at the shelter, and I was not treating none of my clients that way. I have clients who moved out and they're still in communication with me. They still send me thank you notes. I have a whole bunch of gifts that I got from my clients. I still speak to my clients sometimes. I still talk to them. One of them is about to open a restaurant. One of them already has a restaurant in Brooklyn. I still have to go stop by, you know what I'm saying? But I felt like the way I was being treated at that shelter, like, it's crazy because I don't treat nobody like that. I don't care what walk of life you're in. And it was just wild to me the way some of the staff members would act. Like, you're not better than me. Everybody, most people in New York City is 2 paychecks away from homelessness. Let's stop acting like we all have $37,000 saved in a great 401k and Roth IRA. Like, come on, like, miss me. I'm just gonna tell y'all about like some of the roommates that I had. So the first roommate I remember I had saw her at my previous shelter, you know, the intake shelter, Franklin. I saw her there. So she was a Nigerian woman, so she was okay. She talked entirely too much though. And she did the most over the garbage. So I was the only person that put stuff in the garbage, but I would literally only put pieces of paper. Like, I wouldn't really have any food because you weren't allowed to bring food into the room. But that was another thing that I was able to bring into the room because some of the security guards, they were lax. Because again, like I told you, they was Haitian, so they wouldn't want food to go to waste. So I remember I would go to like the Trinity spot. I would have my doubles. If I had leftovers, I would bring them in. So one of them, he was like, oh, you're not supposed to bring that in here. And so I was like, oh, okay, you want me to throw it away? He's like, no, just take it in. That's fine. But just, you know, you're not supposed to bring that in here. So I wasn't always bringing food like that in there. I was more so bringing like little chips and candies and stuff, but they didn't really care too much about that. But yeah, I remember one time he was like, yeah, you gotta take the garbage out. She was like, oh, what's good with the garbage? And I was like, oh, we had to take it out. She's like, what you mean we? And I'm like, okay, relax. And she was like, yeah, if you don't take it out, this is why we have flies. It was one little fly, and I don't feel like flies are drawn to like plastic and paper. The way she was going, like, it was filthy. She ended up leaving to Maryland and she never came back. And then the second roommate I had, I don't even know where to begin with this one. So her name was Elle. She was allergic to everything. So I would spray my perfume and she was allergic to that apparently. I don't think she was, but she just swore she was allergic to everything. So I told her I'll just spray it in the bathroom, which I was already doing, but apparently she could still smell it because my perfumes are strong. So yeah, I felt bad about that, but whatever. So she wouldn't let them clean in the room because she claimed she was allergic to the stuff that they would put down. So then she also swore she had so many medical issues, and then she also never went to any appointments. So when you're at a shelter, you're supposed to see your case manager, who's supposed to be the person that's helping you get out of there. You're supposed to see your case manager and your housing specialist. She would miss all of those appointments. She would never go. And then she was just like, she doesn't want to complain about anything. And I'm just like, but there's a lot of things to complain about. And then she was always in the room, like studying and just like occupying the bathroom or whatever. She was very respectful and mindful because I like for the room to be dark. I don't like any lights to be on in the room. So like, I'm autistic, like I don't like lights and just certain stuff. So you see how dim it is right now. Like the lights is not going to be turned on until maybe like 4 or 5 p.m. when I have to leave or like get ready. But yeah, because that's when it's super duper dark. But I don't like any lights on, and she kept the room like dark. But she also liked the room to be very hot, and I like the room to be very cold. So she was always like having to like adjust the temperature or whatever. And then there's this thing we have, it's called the Callahan inspection. So every year like the state or DHS comes to inspect the homeless shelter to make sure that they're up to standards, they're following like the rules and regulations or protocols. I remember she really pissed me off during the Callahan inspection. So I would wake up every day at like 4 or whatever to go to the gym early, and then after that I'd have to go to work. Tell me why during the Callahan inspection, the day before, it's 1 a.m. She woke up, she's opening her suitcase mad loud, making mad noise, slamming the locker closed. I'm trying to sleep, mind you. I have 3 hours to get up and you're waking me up. She woke me up with this loud ass suitcase. So she blew me. So I'm like, yo, how much? So I asked, I'm like, yo, how much longer are you going to be doing this for? She's like, oh, I don't know, maybe like 20-30 minutes. So at this point, I can't sleep. So when she's ready to sleep, I'm like, oh, bet 2 can play at that game. So I turned on all the lights since you wanted to make mad noise. I turned on all the lights. She's like, hey, can we compromise? Is there any way you can turn off these lights since you're not occupying the space? I'm like, no, there's no way I can do that. So she goes in the bathroom and closes the door, and then I still had the lights on. And then when I decided that I need to go use the bathroom, then she decided to go take the lights off, and I still went back, turned back on the lights. I was like, I don't care. Like, you inconvenienced me, you woke me up, so now we're all just gonna stay up and we're gonna be pissed off. And then I couldn't go to the gym because I was like too tired and exhausted. Like, she blew me. So then they ended up changing her room. They didn't want her to stay in my room anymore. I don't know why. That wasn't me. And so she ended up flipping out. She went ballistic and she did not go into the new room they gave her. And yeah, that was pretty much the last that we ever saw of her. So then I had a new roommate. She was like this Hispanic girl. So she was cool. She was barely ever in the room. She was always out. And then it turns out that her mother was at the shelter too. And then she put me on to mad stuff that I didn't know. So she told me how like all the staff, they used to be smashing the clients, which I guess that should make sense. Like, you know, is a shelter full of women. Most of the staff members are dudes. So some of them had gotten fired because of that. And then she was putting me on to Mad C or whatever. She ended up leaving to go be with her mom because her mother ended up getting an apartment. I wouldn't have done that. I would have thugged it out, got my own stuff. But yeah, and then I like the fact that she liked the room cold and dark. And I remember one time I walked in, it smelled like mad marijuana. So I don't smoke, I don't drink, I don't do none of that. So I told her immediately, I'm like, nah, you cannot smoke in here. She's like, oh, nah, I didn't smoke. I was rolling up, but don't worry, I'm gonna just roll up outside. So after that, like, she just did that. And yeah, she was pretty cool. We never really had too many issues. Like, any little thing I did and she told me about, I was like, oh, my bad. Like, I didn't mean to offend you. Won't happen again. She was like, yeah, I know. And so that was it. And then, but she was mad cool and stuff. She told me she was a lash tech. I was like, that's dope. And then the next person, I don't know why I put her as a crazy lady. So she was nice, but she just told me so much of her life story, which was crazy. Like, I just knew too much about all these people. And then she would tell me a lot of stories that I didn't believe. And she used to be on the phone with her man, and he also didn't believe the story she was telling either. And then I don't know, she just told me some wild stuff. And then I remember she ended up getting the room raided because she had like an issue with staff. So they came in the room, but they didn't touch none of my stuff. I think they were only touching her stuff because I didn't notice any of my stuff out of place. And like I told you, I'm mad anal, so I wouldn't notice if they touched any of my stuff. But she had a daughter, but she seemed very unstable. She was always arguing on the phone with her boyfriend, and he just seemed like a bum. And I'm just like, you have a man, he's not helping you. You in a situation where you at the bottom. What are you still with this man for? It was so weird to me. So then she got transferred to another shelter in the middle of the night, and she was just arguing with the cops because she did not want to go at all. And I felt really bad because I didn't like the way they did it. And I was just so worried because I'm like, yo, I don't want them to pew her, you know, because I don't want nothing to happen to her. And I'm right here, I'm trying to go to sleep. But I also just felt so bad, but I was trying to mind my business. He wasn't even helping her. She's like, oh, she's on the phone telling him how, oh, yo, they're kicking me out, da-da-da. He's telling her to come to the block. She's like, yo, could you come help me take some of my stuff? He's like, yo, you don't even need all of that stuff, da-da-da. She's like, yo, how are you going to tell me I don't need my stuff? He's like, yo, let me see what you're even taking. Bro, why do you need to see what she's taking? She's taking all of her stuff, and she has to go to your block, and you won't just get up and come to help her take some of this stuff. So she called another dude, and the dude was like, yo, I don't have my car, so I can't help you. So she ended up having to take like 3-4 big ass bags by herself on the bus at like 2 a.m. to go to this man's house. I'm like, nah, he would have been clipped after that. Like, I would have never messed with him after that. And then my favorite roommate I had, her name was T. She was quiet. She was never here. And then she let me leave the room cold and dark. She was very considerate. We didn't talk. She would just say like, oh, I hope you have a good day when I was leaving, stuff like that. But I did notice my charger went missing when she was in the room. I asked her about it. She claimed she didn't have it. And yeah, I just never saw that charger again. I was so big mad. Like, and the last person, this little stupid kunumunu, this stupid little girl, like, bro, this chick, she blew me so badly. Oh my gosh, she was the absolute worst. This little dumb bitch called Samaya. She was loud. Shorty was always on the phone talking to mad different men, mad different people. She was always arguing. The phone was on speaker every single day. She would even watch her YouTube and her Netflix on speaker on her laptop, dumb loud. And it's like she had no consideration for anybody else. I could not stand this little girl. She would leave hair particles everywhere. She would smoke in the bathroom. One time I pressed her about the smoking. She's like, yeah, I'm never gonna do it again, my bad, sorry. She still continued to do it because she cared about nothing and nobody but herself. Like I said, she would leave her hair particles everywhere. One time she left a dirty pad on top of the sink. I was so big mad. I ended up having to clean that, and I told the staff they disinfected it after I removed the pad. But that blew me because I did not want to touch this girl's pad. Then I remember one time I told her, I was like, hey, could I use the bathroom before you take a shower? Because I wanted to just brush my teeth. She's like, nah, you're gonna have to wait. I'm thinking she's just peeing. Shorty went and took a whole shower instead of just letting me brush my teeth. It takes 2.2 minutes for me to brush my teeth. She would not let me brush my teeth until she finished taking a shower. So I had to wait like 45 minutes for her to finish using the bathroom. I'm like, bro, nobody else moves like this. She blew me. Then she always kept the lights on. Then she would leave. Like, when I would leave, I would come back in the room and the room would be on heat, standby. And then it ended up, the thermostat ended up breaking. So we didn't have like heat or coldness for like a week. Like, it blew me. She was always readjusting the temperature in the room. The lights was always on. And I remember my last final straw, bro, it is 10 p.m. She was talking to some dude that she worked with, which I thought was stupid. So he would call her and be like, hey, you want extra hours? Like, you don't have to work, but I'm gonna just put the hours on your time sheet. She's like, yeah, that's cool. I want to do that. So I remember one time he called her. This was my last show, like I said. He calls her and they're talking. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to give her like an extra 30 minutes to talk to him, and then I'm going to press her. But it was blowing me because I'm like, bitch, it's 10 p.m. You macking on the phone with him on speaker, 10 p.m. It's not just you in the room. I'm in the room too. So I'm listening to them talking. I'm irked. So at like 11:15 or something, I'm really trying to think like, yo, how do I say it? Because I know when I'm aggravated, I know how I'm gonna sound. I'm gonna sound crazy. I was really trying to think. I was gearing my brains. How do I press this stupid ass girl? So I told her, I was like, hey, do you mind like getting off the phone? Like, I'm trying to go to sleep. She like, nah. I'm like, what do you mean no? Like, you're not the only person in the room. It's dumb late. I'm trying to go to sleep. So she's talking to the guy on the phone. The guy like, oh, you got to get up. She's like, no. Because what is all that attitude? Like, I would have got up if she could ask me correctly. Ask you correctly? I could see why this little girl would get beat up every day. Every day she would come to the room with a different knot, a different story about someone beating her up. She got beat up by one of her friends on her birthday. What type of friends are these? So anyways, I decided, I'm like, yo, before I throw the garbage can on this little girl's head, let me get out the room. Let me go talk to staff. I go talk to staff. I talk to this dumb bitch. I'm sorry, I had to say that. I talk to this stupid girl. I'm like, yo, could you go and talk to this girl before me and her end up getting into it? I'm like, yo, I need her to get off the phone. She's like, okay, here's this paper. You have to fill out this paper. I'm like, bro, I don't want to fill out this paper. Go and talk to her. She's like, well, if you're not going to do it this way, then I can't do it. So I fill out the stupid paper. I'm like, yo, she wanted me to fill out a grievance. I'm like, now can you go talk to her? She's like, yeah, I'm going to go and talk to her afterwards. She never went and talked to her. Her goofy, scary ass. She never came to talk to her. So I end up going back in the room. She gets off the phone like 10 minutes later. I'm heated. I'm pissed. I'm like, yo, I'm not staying in this room. I'm not staying in this room. So this was sometime in November, like the middle of this was like a couple of days before my birthday. My birthday is November 20th. I think this happened like November 14th, something like that. I don't remember the exact day, like 6 or something days, 4 days before my birthday, something like that, right? So I tell staff, I send them an email. I'm like, yo, I'm not sharing this room with this girl, because I had complained to staff multiple times about her. I'm like, bro, she smokes in the room. She's dirty. She's loud. She's inconsiderate. I can't keep doing this. They're like, oh, we're going to get your room changed. Then they tell me like, oh, there's no rooms. I'm like, don't even worry about it. I'm leaving. I'm not staying, because they don't want me to leave, because they knew I was getting ready to gear up to move to my permanent apartment, and they were going to lose the credit for that. They're like, okay, don't worry about it. We're going to figure it out. End up switching with some girl. She was a cool ass chick, some Trinidadian girl. I was like, dang, I wish me and her could have shared the room together, because she was wild cool. She told me she went to the gym. We was talking, we was getting along. She was cool. So I ended up having one last room. Okay, that's somebody else's bed. Then this is her locker as well. This is my area. Taking these two to my office tomorrow. And I'm gonna take the rest because I'm leaving tomorrow. So there's literally nothing in here. There's nothing on that side. I'm not gonna open it. And then this is another girl's stuff. And then this nasty ass bitch. Like, come on, bro. What the fuck? I don't put my foot on that. Don't worry. And then this is me, birthday girl, turning 32 tomorrow. Thank God, it's the best birthday gift ever. I get the fuck up out of this dump. It's my dirty clothes. I'm gonna wash this tomorrow evening, and then that's all the shit that I gotta take. I'm about to throw all this stuff out. It was with these two girls. It was with this Haitian girl, this Puerto Rican girl. The Haitian girl, she was always loud. She was like on the phone talking to herself, and like she's the type, like she would watch a YouTube video and be like, yo, that's so crazy, that's what he did, yo girl, don't do that. Like she was that type. And then she would be singing her Haitian music dumb loud. The Puerto Rican was dumb cool though. Like I didn't have no issues with her. But yeah, both of them, I didn't have no issues at all, because I was only in that room for 3 days, and then I left. I think I was there for like 2-3 days, and then I left. But that was pretty much like all my roommates. I had no issues with nobody except that little dumb bitch Samaya. Outside of that, everybody else was cool. And like that girl was just so dumb and like stupid. Like, and I would know like her whole life story because she was always on the phone. Like I knew too much of people's business, and nobody knows my business. And I'm like, yo, like it is crazy. While I was at the shelter, obviously I was apartment hunting, looking for different apartments, and I just kept coming across scams. Or when I would find a good apartment, I didn't have enough money saved. I'm not gonna lie, because although I was in the process of buying a house with NACA, because my friend put me on, because she ended up buying a house, I still wasn't saving enough money. As you can see, I really like Hello Kitty, so I was buying a lot of Hello Kitty stuff. I was still shopping in Japan. I was still at TJ Maxx religiously, so I didn't have enough money saved. So when I would find like a nice apartment, I wouldn't be able to afford the broker's fee, because it would be like a $4,000 broker fee along with the first month's rent, last month's rent, and security. So most of these apartments will come up to like $7,000 for me to be able to move in, and I would typically only ever have like half of that. So yeah, I might go into a different video, make another video about the different apartments that I looked at, because they were all shitty. Most of them were even scams. It was so many scams that I kept encountering, and it was just really blowing my mind. And then New York City Housing Connect, they just kept playing with me. I shed so many tears over New York City Housing Connect. That's a separate video, because I got picked for the lottery. I've been picked for the lottery maybe 27 times. No exaggeration. I've been picked so many times, and it's always fell through my fingers. It's always been like just some little stupid reason as to why I wasn't able to get it. And I was going through so much in this time period, and I was always calling 311. I was always complaining about the shelter staff, the shelter situation. I would call 311 because I wouldn't like the way a certain staff member talked to me. I would call 311 because like, I remember I called 311 because we didn't have any hot water, and I didn't like the way they was going about it. I called 311 one time because I signed up for the laundry. So they had a laundry room. It was always broken. I would call 311 to complain about it being broken. I called 311 one time because I had signed up for like a 10 a.m. slot. I go downstairs to use it at 10 a.m. The guy's like, nah, you can't use it until 10:30. Someone else is going in there before you. He would also lock the door. So I called 311 to complain about that. I remember one time I was washing my hair, so I'm washing my hair, I'm deep conditioning it. So I had on a sports bra and I had a towel over it. My sports bra, nothing was even showing. Like, it wasn't nothing crazy, right? So I wanted to take my clothes out the dryer. So I have to go to this man to tell him, hey, is there any way you could open the door so I could take my stuff out? He's like, you have to put on a shirt. I'm like, it's a sports bra. Like, what is the big deal? He's like, no, I'm not going to open it until you put on a shirt. He blew me. I'm like, yo, I wear this to the gym. There's no problem. He's like, well, this is not the gym. He had me so tight. So I put on a hoodie for him to open the door, and then I called 311 immediately to complain about it. I let them know, like, yo, if he's not comfy working with a woman because we're wearing sports bras, he shouldn't be working here. So they called me back and was just like, yeah, well, apparently the director said that, in the rules, you're not supposed to be walking around with sports bras and blah, blah, blah. I'm just like, you know what, whatever. I don't care. As long as I know I complained. Even though I would complain so much and complaining wouldn't lead to any issues being resolved, I just felt good knowing that I complained. I was a Karen. I don't care. I'm a proud Karen. I will call and complain and complain and complain. Like, I will call. If I get bad service at a store, I will call customer service and complain. But also when I get good service, I make sure to tip. I make sure to tell other people. I make sure to leave a nice Yelp review. But give me bad service, I will call. I don't care. So yeah, I had that type of situation. It was just a lot that was going on. And then I dealt with some really nasty staff members. I don't know why people were so nasty. It was one Trinidadian bitch. She was so nasty, and I'm just thinking oh, this is my people, maybe she will be nice. For some reason, I guess she didn't like me. I'm just so nasty. She was just nasty, just ugly on the inside. I hate to say that about my people, but she was just so nasty. And I just never understood why. But yeah, there was other staff members that was cool. So Jermaine, he was dumb cool. Really, really cool dude. I cannot thank him enough. Michael was cool until he wasn't. But I had I don't know. It was just so weird with some of the staff members. It was just so crazy. And then there was this young girl who just started working there. She was dumb cool, dumb nice. But yeah, I can't thank those people enough. But the people who should have been doing for me, they were not. My housing specialist wasn't really helping me. My case manager wasn't helping me. I went through a lot. I got this apartment on my own, with no outside help, with no help from my shelter staff. I actually got this apartment because of the job that I was working at. One of my supervisors had called me hey, are you still looking for an apartment? I was just yeah. She was like, okay, well, I have this one. Is there any way you'd be interested in it? I was just yeah. So I told her, I was what is the likelihood of me getting this apartment? She was it's a high likelihood because they like people that work. So at the time, I was working 2 jobs. So they basically denied me for the apartment because they said that I was over income. So at the time I was making $86,000 a year. They was like, that's too much. So I appealed it. I was crying. It was so crazy. This happened February of 2025 when they denied me. I was crying. I was inconsolable. I was so mad. I was at work, eyes red as hell. I'm in front of my client. I'm trying to help her with something. I was like, yo, give me 1 minute, because I had to go to the bathroom to cry because I just could not believe it that they would deny me. And I'm like, bro, I feel like the income requirement shouldn't even be a thing if I'm in a shelter and, you know, I'm homeless. It shouldn't matter how much money I'm making. Clearly I need a place to live. And yeah, they didn't care. So I ended up appealing it. And when I tell you, with my appeal, I emailed everybody I emailed so many different organizations, and they were just like, yeah, you're just gonna have to wait. But they ended up giving that apartment to somebody else. I was so mad.
So this is the first apartment that I viewed. I was supposed to be moving into this one, but they didn't hold it for me because they didn't know that I was going through an appeals process. And it's crazy because I actually won my appeal in March. So I filed the appeal in February. I won it in March, and they did not let me know until July. And then this blew me too. I'm like, what is this? But it was just a cover event. So he had taken it down to show me what it looked like. And obviously I was unimpressed with this. I showed the shelter staff, I showed Jermaine and Michael. They was like, nah, don't take this. This is not being too picky. This is just disgusting. I wouldn't want you living there. And I opened every single cabinet because I wanted to see if they had roaches. Because I'm like, yo, I just can't with the wood. Like, what is this? Like, why can't y'all modernize it? Like, I get it. This is like the PJs, but come on. You can make the place look more presentable. Like, if you're going to do a full renovation, which they did, you can make it look more presentable. I don't even care about the color of the fridge as long as it can hold food and store it properly. But the whole brown cabinets, like, that blew me. I didn't like that. But
so then the appeal finally went through in, like, I think July or something was when they approved me and said, hey, you're actually approved for this apartment because I wasn't working any jobs, wink wink, I wasn't working. So basically I have zero income. So that's how, well, I don't have zero income. Apparently I make some income, but not enough. So not a lot. So I was able to like get the apartment, and that's pretty much how I got it. But yeah, it was so crazy. But I cannot thank my coworkers enough for putting me on. So it was Ruth, it was Yaritza, and it was Victoria. Those are the three. So Ruth is the one that put me on to Yaritza, and then Victoria was the one that told me that they had this apartment. And so Victoria and Yaritza was helping me. But when it didn't work out the first time, Yaritza kind of like backed out or whatever, which was fine because she already got me so far. And so I pretty much handled the appeals process on my own. So all the emails and stuff that the apartment management was sending, they would also CC my case manager, my housing specialist. Nobody was responding. Nobody was replying. I was doing everything on my own. And I ended up like filling out a couple paperwork incorrectly. So basically I have filled it out right. Signatures, it kind of got distorted when I had sent it back. And so that became like this whole big thing. And then I also, when I write my signature, I had to legally change my name. So it was hard for me to write my last name. So I would just write Liz, and they was not jacking that. They made me redo the whole package. So that delayed it. But I ended up moving into here a day after my birthday. And I just was feeling so blessed. But there have been a little problems here. And I feel like that's the reason why I think I haven't been as thankful as I should be. Like, I'm very thankful, don't get me wrong, but I feel like I thought that when I moved here, I would be crying.
I'm so grateful to have this crib, bro. I worked hard for this. Damn, bro. I gotta understand. I do this by myself half of the time.
I'd be so super ecstatic. I feel like I'm ecstatic, but I feel like I haven't thanked God enough, and it's because of one major problem, which I'm scared to even tell y'all about because it's so annoying. But yeah, but that was pretty much like the situation, how I ended up like getting my housing. And yeah, I just feel so blessed that I finally have an apartment to call my own, and the rent is very affordable. I'm not gonna tell you how much I pay in rent because if I tell y'all, I feel like I don't want to see comments, oh well, she only pays this amount of money in rent, she should never not have money for this and that. Like I'm not doing that. Like, it's not because I can't tell y'all, but it's like I told my supervisor and she won't shut up about how much I pay in rent. And so now I'm not telling nobody. None of my friends even know. But it's so freaking crazy. All right, so before I even get into the cons of the apartment, I'm just gonna tell you all the things that I like about the apartment. So my neighbors, they're really nice, they're really kind, they're caring, they're considerate. When I first moved in and I had all my stuff, everybody helped me bring my stuff to my floor. Anytime like I have bags, all the men, they're like rushing to help me take it to my floor. Like they're always taking it to my floor, and I'm on the highest floor, the penthouse suite, and they're always like taking it taking it to my room for me. Like they're so sweet, so nice. Oh, she fell. Stay. Great. Like they're so sweet, they're so nice. Ma'am, you must want to go on my hands. You want me to hold you. That's what it is. There we go. Yeah, so everybody is just so sweet, so nice. I just pure gentlemen in this apartment. Everybody is just kind. Like I've had no issues with anybody. And then I'm 3 blocks away from a train station. I will say the food in this neighborhood, I don't really like it. No vegan food. Even the food at the grocery store, I'm like, yo, what is this? And then I'll just go into the cons right now. So the cons, I have to take the train to the gym. I could walk to the gym, but that's a 30-minute walk, and we're also kind of in like the dead of winter, so I'm not doing that. So I just take the train. It's only it's 3 stops on the train. So it's like, it's a quick 10-minute ride. It's nothing too crazy. So I wake up at 4 a.m. Then I go to the gym. I get there at 5. Yeah, so that's pretty much one of the cons. The gym is no longer 3 blocks away. And then I would say another con. When I first moved in, my neighbor, his dogs used to make so much freaking noise. I was just like, yo, do I call animal CPS? But I never did that. And then I spoke to him about it. He was just like, yeah, they're friends. They play around, but they just like make too much noise. And so I was just like, okay, whatever. But my super, he doesn't like that. He was just like, yo, tell me when he does that. I'm like, I'm not gonna tell you. It's not that serious. But yeah, so that was like a con, but it's kind of whatever now. I don't really care. But the biggest con, this is something I prayed to God about. I said, God, please do not give me more than I can bear. So far, he hasn't, but it has roaches. So when I first saw the unit, it wasn't this unit, it was the other unit that I got denied for. I asked, I saw the super was showing me the unit, and I saw this other lady in the elevator. So I spoke to her, I said, hey, are there any roaches? She was quiet. The super immediately answered and said, no roaches. And she was like, yeah, no roaches. He's a liar. There are roaches. So when I first moved in, there was no bed, there was no furniture, no nothing in here. I was sleeping on the floor. I kept seeing these little tiny bugs. I kept having to kill all these little teeny tiny bugs, but I didn't know what they were. They were so tiny. It wasn't until I started seeing ones that were slightly bigger. I think I took a picture of it and I realized that, oh shoot, this is a teeny tiny roach. And I went on ChatGPT and it said that it was a brown spotted roach or something, that's a super baby roach, but they don't reproduce as quickly. Then I realized, oh nah, because at first I wasn't too mad because I'm like, yo, they're super tiny like ticks. Like if you saw them, you wouldn't really know they were roaches unless you really, you're a roachologist. Like you wouldn't know. And then I realized because one of them, I had picked it up with a piece of paper, smushed it, threw it in my toilet. And I didn't flush because I'm like, oh, it has to be dead. Because I thought it was, I just thought it was like a termite or something. Wasn't sure. Tell me why I opened that toilet an hour and a half later. It's swimming around in the toilet. I was like, oh, it's really a roach. Oh my gosh. So I took my bleach spray and I had to spray it because just flushing it wasn't going down. So I had to bleach the toilet bowl for it to go down. And I realized, oh my God, I have little baby roaches. So I called my exterminator. I hired an outside exterminator because I found him on TikTok. Trini dude, real cool, real nice. He came and he pretty much told me like, yeah, this is technically the projects. That's why you have it. And then he was like, you also need to caulk. So he told me I had to caulk the kitchen. And it's crazy because when the area he told me, he pressed on the floor and a roach came out. And I'm like, oh, shoot. And it was a German. So I don't really see too many Germans. I see them in the hallway. but I only, like I told you, I only really see the teeny tiny ones. So he told me after he exterminated, he was pretty much like, yeah, so tonight should be the worst night, but after that, you should pretty much be good once you cork it. And he was also like, since they're renovating the roof, you're probably not going to stop seeing them until the renovations is over. But once you cork and the renovations is over, you should be good money. And that night, I didn't see any. But then the next day, I saw like one. The next day, I end up killing like 1 or 2 every single day. And so I put a door stopper, like the door guard at the bottom of the door, because I noticed that they were coming from outside. I saw one roll in from outside, and that was a German. I can't stand those ones. The little teeny tiny ones, okay, cool. But them little flat Germans, I can't. So I did that. But I noticed that when I leave my back door open, like, because I have a little balcony, when I leave that open, I noticed that they're coming from there too, even though I don't know how. They're coming from like the balcony outside. So I can't really air out my crib the way I want to. I'd be scared to leave the window open, even though I have the fly guard, because I'm like, I don't know how they're getting in here. It's crazy. I sweep, I clean, I mop. I don't even keep garbage in here because I'm so paranoid. I sweep every single day. I mop once a week, but any mess, I clean it up automatically. I don't leave dishes in the sink overnight. I don't do any of that. I even wipe down the sink after I use it so there's no water. And I'm just like, I don't know, they just keep coming. So I had a good 2 days where I didn't see none, right? Good 2 days, I ain't see none. Tell me why I see my maintenance worker. He just like, yeah, because I had complained to him about the roaches. He was like, yeah, I don't know why this man gonna tell you there's no roaches. We got roaches in here. He was like, yeah, in the basement, they got them cockroaches. He said that. I'm like, anytime somebody say a cockroach, they talking about them big, gigantic flying ones, them big fat ones, the ones that people like to call a water bug, or the people in Miami like to call them the palmetto bugs. Why are we giving fancy names to roaches? It's just a gigantic, nasty roach. Them crunchy ones, like you step on it and it's mad crunchy. It's disgusting. But yeah, so he told me that. So he had asked me, he's like, oh, so how's the roach situation going? I was like, it's going good, but do not jinx me. Of course he jinxed me. So I was cleaning. I was cooking, and I said, you know what, let me open the door. I hadn't opened the door all week. I opened my balcony door, then I see 2. I'm like, yo, what the heck? I ended up killing them. Then I saw another one the next day. Like, it blew me so bad. I went and I pressed it. I'm like, yo, you jinxed me. You know what you were doing. You jinxed me. But yeah, then I was in the elevator. I'm in the elevator with this lady. I see this big, like this nasty red one. Like, I hate when they be the color red. Why are you red? Oh my God, ew. It was like a red German one right by my garbage, climbing up the elevator wall. I was so like, oh my gosh, I damn near jumped in that lady's arm. She's like, no, it's okay, you look so nice, I don't want to see it on you, this building is infested. I'm like, why do people lie so much? Then I spoke to somebody else about it, and he was just like, oh yeah, we have them, but you could just call the exterminator. He making it seem like, oh, it's just as easy as, oh, you just call the exterminator, they go away. They don't. Then I remember one time I had ordered my pizza, so for some reason these people don't like to come to my floor. I have to go downstairs. So I opened the elevator door. It was a gigantic one. It was like, you know, kind of have that hole in between the elevator or whatever, like when you're walking in, it was like crawling up from there, then it went back down. I was like, I'm not going on the elevator. And once that elevator comes up, there's 2 elevators. I can't get into the other one until that one goes down, but that one is not going to go down because it's already on my floor. The other elevator was on the first floor, so I had to walk down over 10 flights of steps to get my freaking food. I was so mad. I was so mad that day. But yeah, it's just like, when I moved in here, first of all, I put lavender everywhere because apparently I read so many articles. I was on TikTok doing mad research. They were talking about get Advion gel. They were talking about roaches don't like the smell of lavender and eucalyptus. There was one girl talking about how her whole apartment was infested. Her whole apartment building was infested, but hers wasn't because she has lavender and eucalyptus. She just likes the smell. It's not to, you know, keep roaches away. She just likes lavender and eucalyptus. I wasted so much money on lavender, air fresheners, lavender this, lavender that. Them things ain't scared of that. I put mad bleach and ammonia. They don't care. I remember one time I sprayed down some bleach and one still came underneath the door. I was so vexed. I'm just thankful that they are small and tiny so I can handle it. I remember I was cleaning my balcony. I saw a gigantic one. I had to call my super. I was like, yo, I'm so sorry. Can you please dispose of that for me? I can't. Y'all about to be like, you're doing too much. I'm not. Like, even when I was living with my roommates, I would always call one of them to kill them or to dispose of them. Like, I'm so scared of them things, you don't even know. Then my exterminator was telling me he's scared of them. I'm like, bro, no you're not, or she wouldn't be in this line of work, because I can't do that line of work. Like, I can't, bro. And this was the one thing I begged God. I said, God, please don't give me this. You know I'm clean. You know I'm tidy. You know I don't deserve this. And God said, haha, joke's on you. But yeah. That's pretty much the worst thing about this apartment. But outside of that, like, I have no complaints, no issues. Love the neighborhood, love the people. I'm joining this gardening club. I went to one meeting, so we have another meeting in February. We're opening this garden, so I'm very excited for that. I'm gonna bring some of my clients to the garden and their kids so they can get community service. So yeah, I'm really excited. I love this apartment, love the people in the neighborhood. Everybody's really nice, really sweet. So yeah, I have no complaints. I just want to, make this video to just give God the glory, just to be thankful, since I feel like I haven't been as thankful, as I should be. So I just want to thank God so much. Allah made a way for me. I feel like this is the hardest thing I've ever experienced in my life. And I think that it took a lot longer for it to happen for me, because this is the main thing I've ever wanted. I've always told people, like, yo, once I have an apartment, my life will be complete. I'll be able to do this, and that. Like, anybody that knows me knows I always wanted an apartment. And I just feel like I'm able to actually start doing the things that I want to do. And I told myself, like, yo, you're not allowed to complain, because you was fiending for an apartment. You finally got an apartment. You have no more noise. You have no more things to complain about. And I just feel that it took so much longer. Like, I'm literally 32 years old. I had to get an apartment at 32 years old. I feel as though everybody else gets their apartment at 18, 22. And I'm in my 30s, and I'm now getting my first apartment, So I just think that it was a long time coming. Like, it took a lot for me to even get here. And a lot of people get here a lot faster. They also have a lot more help. But it just took so much for me to get here. This was a struggle. I had to surmount so many obstacles. So now y'all are going to hear about it. Y'all are going to hear about it, because I used to think that I was never going to get here. Like, on the days where I wanted to...
I'm not going to kill myself. I'm going to find a new apartment. I got this, even though they're all leaving me. I got this. I don't have to cry. I'm not going to die. I don't have to kill myself. I'm going to find a new apartment. I don't have to kill myself. I'm
just like, no. One day you're going to get it. Like, one day you're going to get it. It's so crazy. Like, and I only had to wait like a year. Well, technically it was more than a year and a month, because if we count from me being a child, we're not going to do that. We're going to ignore all the New York City Housing Connect BS. Like, I'm just going to thank God that I finally got this apartment, because this is all I ever wanted. And yeah, I just feel so blessed, so grateful. In the summer, when I tell you I'm popping out, I'm gonna be so cute with my outfits, my hair, my nails, my body finna be extra tea too. Like, when I tell you I'm gonna pop out this summer, oh my gosh, I feel so blessed. I'm gonna be cooking like crazy. Yo, I'm so thankful, but no one's ever coming over here. But yeah, so I'm just gonna end on a thank you, God, for everything. And if you're in this situation, the situation that I was in, or just, living someplace where you don't feel so good, I truly do hope that, you figure it out and you're able to get yourself situated, get yourself back on your feet. And if you have any questions, you can put it in my comments, and I'll definitely answer them. If you need any help with like the shelter process, you need any help finding good apartments, if you've been scammed, any of that. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Let me know what type of videos y'all want to see next, if anything. And thank you guys so much for watching. But most importantly, thank you to my friends, thank you to my coworkers, and thank you to God.